Okay. My name's Ahia, and I just got here. I'm working today. I know my friend Thomas, and he invited me. And I've been working on organic farms this whole season. I also worked on organic farms about a decade ago, and I really enjoy it.
My name's Jarvis. I've been here through the same person, Thomas. He told us about this cool children's organization for involved in agriculture and farming, so we came out to check it out. We met on an organic farm out in Kansas, actually, after being friends for a few years on Facebook. We both ended up on the same farm in Kansas, and then we ventured back out here to the West Coast just recently. What am I most passionate about?
Yeah.
Primarily food, and if I'm not passionate about food, I'm angry that I'm not eating it. It's probably normally the two things that are happening.
I guess the thing that I'm most passionate about in my life is internal transformation, and then witnessing how that affects the physical reality.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Um, I was hoping you'd start, and then I could kind of like play off of you, because you're kind
Okay.
of better with, you know.
Well, not necessarily just in regards to diet, but if you're afraid about doing anything that's different, I think a lot of our fear comes from the fear of survival. And the fear of survival arises from one's limited identity. When we challenge a limited identity, then the identity just fears about its death. Well, really, we experience a lot of death and rebirth in our life just naturally, whether it's conscious or not. But it has a special sweetness to it when it is conscious. And so I just really think the best thing to do is release one's limited identity and who you think you are or might be. And it's just all based on limitation anyway. And to recognize the eternal self, which is your truest self, your truest essence. And that never changes. So no matter what you do or don't do, you're just always be in the flow. I think that's the best intention, just to stay in the flow. And when there's fear, then that means there's resistance and hesitation. But that also means kind of like a lesser amount of creational power. So you let go of the resistance, and then there's more creational power. Let go of the fear, then there's more flow, more creation, more joy, and just the experience of more, and more than you could ever imagine, really.
I would say that, yeah, the fear lies a lot with judgment. You judge yourself and expectations you set on yourself, and expectations, unspoken expectations preset on you when you're a child, and trying to live up to these expectations as an adult. And as systems start to fail, we start to try to find alternative systems, and that's why we need more people involved in projects like this, is for the time when those systems fail. Who's going to be there to catch the ball, basically, when the food sovereignty becomes more mainstream, instead of thinking that, oh, we need these big corporations to feed the masses, when we really don't.
And something I would really like to reiterate as far as the fear of survival and fear in general is that the current system in which the majority of the world works now is unsustainable and therefore will not last and will collapse. There is no question that it will not. It absolutely will. And there is nothing that we can do to stop that. It just will. So the question is, how prepared are you for when it does happen? And if it doesn't happen in our lifetime, then it most assuredly will in our future children's lifetime. So how do we prepare now to prepare them for when it does collapse? I guess I can speak to myself personally as far as happiness goes. Happiness for me is just really being, knowing who I am, And aside from any thoughts or belief systems or constructs or concepts that might arise being a human, who I am is not human, actually, though I give the appearance as being human. You might see me and I'm talking and I have a voice, but really I'm the eternal essence that is beyond any limitation. And so my happiness arises from that knowledge and that awareness. And so it doesn't really matter what I experience in the physical. My joy comes from knowing who I really am and what I really am in every instance, no matter what I'm experiencing. So my happiness really isn't dependent upon what I'm experiencing physical. There might be some like discomfort or something, but ultimately underlying every experience I have is ultimate joy and freedom.
I say for me, those are states of mind that are constantly changing. So it's really, just dependent upon your circumstances. And so if you're not happy, obviously you need to change your circumstances. Whether you're in a constant state of bliss and zen or not, those states change. And I think people get too dependent upon those stipulations like money bringing happiness, wealth bringing happiness, or even modifying that to another monetary value, your farm. My farm brings me happiness, but your farm could burn down. And if you don't have crop insurance and you lose your whole harvest, then you're not happy. So it's like, I think those states of mind really need to be challenged.
And how would you do that?
How would I do that? Um, Walk more out in nature because there's a different type of stability that's out there when you're just walking amongst the trees, and they've been there for generations and generations and some longer than that, and they still seem to be there, and they're still interacting and providing sustainable ways for us to live, whether it's wood or paper or other resources, So I think just getting outside of your comfort zone a little bit more would be the best way to find out what really makes you happy.
Awesome. And would you like to offer like other ways for people to do that? He said walk in nature
I guess I would suggest introspection as first and foremost. Quiet time, really cutting out media actually is maybe the first thing I would really suggest. Don't watch TV, don't watch movies, don't listen to music. And if you need media in your life, if you need creativity in your life, make it yourself.
Fantastic. It's kind of like
Very adamant. Yeah, you're getting interviewed, but you're yeah. Do what she says and die.
cut.
I did it. What is love? Oh, it's multifaceted. There's the adverb, there's the action, the verb, and then there's the noun form. But I guess the essence of love is a deep-seated emotion that we all universally contain. Similar to other deep-seated emotions we all, all have. But I think ultimately it's a accumulation of feelings that result in the green light. Yes, yeah, definitely go this way. Definitely go down that path. Definitely stay with that person. Definitely do this. It's like an indicator for yes.
Yes, what is love? So
Remember to keep the voice.
I would define love as being the magnet, the the magnet force of creation, in order to bring forth the reality in which you see. It's the unifier. It's like the Kundalini flow. It's the chaos. It's the black and white. It's the subtle and not so subtle. It's a force to be reckoned with. It's anger, righteous anger. It's the will to create, and it's a mind both at rest and in the center of the storm.
Wow, that was quite a powerful answer.
Mm. You go first.
Well, I'm a little more rigid. You know, for me, most things fall to discipline. You know, because everything's a habit. So if you want to love, you have to know how to love, and you got to create habits for that to happen. Because I could say I love you and want to love you, but if I don't have the habit of loving, it might not last long. You know, it's just like I want to clean the kitchen, but I have to do the dishes. You know, so it's like there's this habit.
Because I don't do them.
You know, so there's this habit that has to happen first, you know, in order to keep that loving relationship maintained.
I would call that, and I've lived in a place where we'd have these circles and talk about this a lot, and I would call what you're saying self accountability.
Self accountability, yeah. You know, so just the habit. It's like taking care of your garden. If you're not in the habit of watering and habit of cultivating, weeding, the habit of, you know, taking care of it, then it's probably not going to look too good.
Compassion. I feel like a lot of people don't understand what compassion is, and they've forgotten that it even exists. And compassion to me is holding everyone in a place of non-judgment and non-attachment, but still from a place of healing. So just allowing them to be as themselves in acceptance, but also creating room and an avenue in which for them to come into a greater state of alignment with themselves and the universe. And I feel like there's so many people who are really out of alignment at this time, and that's just fine, and that's their choice until they decide to come into realignment, and I'll be there for them. Music is everything. Music, I told Jay the other day, like music is first. Music comes before shelter, comes before food, comes before sleep, comes before breath. Music. Yeah, that's how I
Music is a
feel.
form of medicine, you know, vibrational medicine, you know. Is it a tincture or tincture, however you say it, for your ears, you know, changes the rhythm of your heart. So, I mean, music is, yeah, it's the, I mean, just watching this video the other day, you know, just on different tribes and how just their daily activities was sound, you know, and how that sound evolved. So yeah, I mean, I wish we could have like a huge amphitheater out here playing music when you're in the garden all the time, you know. It's just a matter of what song, because everyone likes different music.
So in its role, maybe because a lot of people talk about it as also as everything like we are vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And so in its role of unification, how do you see that progressing? Because right now you've got things that have been lost from ancient times coming back, like tuning with a bow, and sound healing. So how do you see that progressing?
It's progressing.
Yeah, it's
Needs to
progressing
progress
into
more.
a static dance.
Yeah, we need. I
You know?
had this idea of like having a stadium full of people playing singing bowls. I hope one day that happens, like the mass singing bowl gathering. But well, one day we'll have that.
Especially with all the new sounds, I think it's always going to be forever evolving. Like I was down, we were coming from the river, and then the train crossing on the other side. Other side was making the sound. You know, so it's like all these different sounds that are new that we didn't have before, constantly inspiring new emotions and new feelings. So it's hard to say exactly how that evolved because some of these sounds might not necessarily be harmonic. You know, some of them are more dissonant, but I still think it's still part of the natural progression. You know, metal spoons versus wood spoons.
Okay, and in terms of education, does music fit into that for you? Like, where would you start if you were to have a child between you? Like with music, would that be the first?
The first thing?
Yeah.
No, I teach him how to cook. I'm like, the first thing you're going to do for yourself, son or daughter, is cook for yourself. You got to eat to sustain. But yeah, no, we both, I play the guitar a little bit and she plays the harmonium. So no, I think music, I think it's like a great way to teach all mathematics, literature. Yeah, it's definitely essential. Music is up there.
Yeah, what I want to see more of is like more spontaneous music, like people just start singing suddenly, like what are those movies where people just start like a musical?
I think that
But
would come when people start going back to the first question, relinquishing fear.
yeah, yeah,
So through the relinquishing of fear, then their inhibitions, then they'll just be singing and they don't care.
yeah. I need more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as education goes, I think it's very important, and I think more people need to learn how to like the ins and outs of music and study it, even if they don't do it as a career or whatever. I think it's a good thing to study.
Should be mandatory. I remember when I was in elementary school, you got tested. They did a little hearing test, and it's like, did you hear that? Did you? No, I didn't hear that. Okay, you don't get to play that instrument. So like it was you were pre-chosen based on your abilities. So I think everyone should learn certain bass musical instruments regardless of whether or not they're necessarily fit for it. There should be some bass music philosophy theory and in there.
Mm.
Well, just being in the environment that we're in, we see a lot of alternatives, from homeschooling to charter, which are really big in the smaller up and coming communities are the charter schools, which I really like charter schools because it's a combination of homeschooling but with the community and funds which would normally be going to maybe private schools, which kind of, make it harder for certain kids to go to, could then, which is kind of now what they're talking about doing, going to these charter schools. I think charter schools are a great alternative, and they get to run programs that are more suited to that environment. Because we came from the Cape Valley, which is Northern California, like a very densely organic populated area with a lot of farms, and they were starting up a charter program there that I thought was really awesome, versus some of the, I guess, the Waldorf or the other type of alternative education. But also, this homeschooling, I think, is just not enough social interaction.
Right. That's going to be the big one for most parents, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
The kids are like, I want some friends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Other than your parents. No, we're not watching Jeopardy again tonight. Please, Mom, no, not Jeopardy. So, yeah.
Yeah. Education, I feel, is a funny thing, and the concept of education and what that is. And so I feel like the best education would come from nature, because humans have become so separate from nature, and it's the reason why humans start feeling the way they do when they just feel out of place or depressed or start getting sick. It's because they're just not in tune with nature anymore. And so I feel like that would be the best education, through dreams and through introspection and spiritual awareness, and like maybe experimenting, with different psychedelic herbs to, get new brain connections open and working. I think is the best type of education, going from there.
But Twinkies aren't working?
Yeah, totally. And, to me, the best knowledge is self-knowledge, and then everything comes from that. And then everything is simple and less complicated.
Because life is simple, right? Yeah.
Brilliant.
We've gone from the ultimate simplicity to the ultimate complexity. And Yeah, and complications. just to unwind again. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. That was a beautiful.
Totally. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.